welcome back to the Deep Dive. Glad to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Today, we're taking a plunge into something pretty specific, maybe a little obscure.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. We're looking at Brachyglottis repens, or kuka, as it's sometimes called.
Ah, yes, from Boericke's Materia Medica.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our source is William Bowick's text, a historical gold mine of observed effects.
It really is a fascinating window into past observations.
So our mission today is basically to unpack the really unique and sometimes surprisingly specific symptoms Boericke links to puka.
Like a shortcut through the historical details.
Precisely. We'll touch on things like a fluttering sensation and even writer's cramp.
That last one sounds familiar.
Right. But exploring these very specific observations, it's amazing what it tells us, isn't it?
Absolutely. It gives such unique insight into how symptoms were actually perceived and recorded back then, way before all our modern tech.
It's like a little time capsule for medical perception. Okay, so diving into Boericke's description of puka. What jumps out first? What's the big picture, maybe?
Well, the first thing, and it's quite prominent, is this fluttering sensation. He even compares it to caladium.
Okay, fluttering. What else?
And then there's a really strong focus on the kidneys and bladder. That seems central.
Right.
He mentions things like albuminuria, that's protein in the urine, and even Bright's disease.
Which was a pretty serious kidney condition back then.
A very serious term, yes. And then, almost oddly specific, this itching in ears and nostrils.
Huh. Itching. Okay. That fluttering, though, it sounds so pervasive.
It does seem to be a key feature.
But Boericke gets even more specific, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Especially with the urinary symptoms. Can you elaborate on those?
Oh, absolutely. The level of detail there is quite something. He talks about a definite pressure in the neck of the bladder
Okay.
and this constant urging to urinate. But the description that always stands out to me
Yeah.
is this sense of swashing in the bladder.
Swashing. Wow, that's vivid. Almost like you can hear it.
Exactly. Such a specific sensory description. He also notes soreness in the urethra and this feeling like you just can't hold the urine. And showing how detailed they tried to be, he even lists findings in the urine. Mucous corpuscles and epithelium, albumin, and casts.
So early microscopic analysis, basically.
Kind of, yeah, documenting what they could observe.
That level of subjective detail, the swashing. It's fascinating compared to how we often think about diagnosis now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much focus on the patient's reported feeling.
It really is. It speaks to a different kind of precision, maybe, one rooted in incredibly careful listening and observation.
And it wasn't just internal stuff. You mentioned writer's cramp earlier. What did Boericke say about that? Many of us can probably relate.
Right, a very relatable one. He describes a cramp in the fingers, thumb, and wrist when writing.
Specifically when writing.
Yes, and he even notes a specific soreness extending along the flexor carpi ulnaris.
Okay, so that's the muscle.
Yeah, and your forearm helps you bend your wrist, so again, quite specific.
Does he compare puka to other remedies? Bori often does that, right?
He does. It helps practitioners differentiate. He lists apis, halonias, mercocor, and plumbum as comparisons.
So substances with potentially overlapping symptoms.
Exactly. Helps narrow it down based on the nuances. And for those interested, he suggests the third potency.
Meaning a highly diluted homeopathic preparation.
Correct. Standard for the time and practice.
So pulling back a bit, we've gone through these really detailed, almost poetic descriptions.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway for someone listening, someone curious about these historical observations?
Well, we've really just touched the surface of puka here.
Sure.
But what stands out is just how incredibly specific, how nuanced these descriptions are. It's like a snapshot of how medical understanding was built, one observation, one sensation at a time.
It's a different way of looking at things.
Definitely. So maybe the thing for you, the listener, to consider is this. How do these incredibly precise, sometimes kind of unusual observations from way back then make us think about how we describe bodily sensations now? What does the specificity of swashing in the bladder or that constant fluttering tell us about observation then, versus, say, our modern tests and scans?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What subtle things might we be missing today because we rely on different tools or maybe different ways of listening?
Exactly, something to chew on.
the U-boat. That's one act. Breda, it's Breda.